Hey guys, welcome back to another week of What's for Dinner. If you're new here, we post these videos every Sunday to share some meal ideas with you and to hopefully give you a little dinner inspiration for the coming week. So make sure to subscribe and turn on your notifications so you don't miss any future dinner ideas. For the first meal of the week, we have BBQ drumsticks with roasted potatoes and green beans. If you've been here long enough, you know I have no idea what's in Adam's secret seasoning mix, but any barbecue rub you like will do. We just coated our drumsticks in that mix and also drizzled them with a little bit of olive oil. And we're going to get these in the oven at 425 degrees for about 40 minutes while we get started on our sauce. I don't have exact measurements for this because Adam just kind of throws it together. You can make your own, or you can also use a bottle. We start out with some molasses, then we added in some Worcestershire and some apple cider vinegar. Next came some brown sugar. Then we added in some onion powder, garlic powder, seasoned salt, pepper, some of that seasoning mix, and some ketchup. And we're using some red potatoes that we already washed and we're cutting into large chunks. And we had one that was already growing in the bag. In our skillet, we have 2 tablespoons of butter and 1 tablespoon of minced garlic. And we're going to add in 1 teaspoon each of onion powder, seasoned salt, parsley, salt and pepper, and rosemary. And I'll have the ingredients and measurements listed in the description box below. Now we're just going to add in our potatoes and get them all coated in that buttery goodness. Once the potatoes were almost done, we added in some frozen green beans, and then we just finished this off in the oven with the chicken until the potatoes were fully cooked through. When the chicken had been cooking for about 20 minutes, we brushed on some of that barbecue sauce. Then we brushed on some more a second time 10 minutes before it was done. This meal was so simple and so delicious. Those potatoes were amazing. And the boys had a little bit of ice cream for dessert. Next up, we have shredded Thai beef with cilantro rice and homemade naan. For this, we'll be using some butter, soy sauce, minced garlic, salt and pepper, turmeric, ground ginger, cumin, paprika, basil, fresh mint, and we also added in some lime juice and sriracha. And I'll have all these measurements down below as well. Once all of our spices were combined, we added in 1.5 pounds of beef stew meat. Then we added in our sriracha, lime juice, and soy sauce. Then we put this in a 300-degree oven until it was tender and cooked through for about 4 hours. To get started on our rice, we put 1 tablespoon of butter in our pan along with a good amount of fresh cilantro. Then we just season this to taste with salt, pepper, and seasoned salt. Then added in our rice to toast it before we add our water. We also made some homemade naan with this, which we've shown on our channel before. I'll leave the recipe down below. This turned out so good, and I could eat that naan all day long. Next, we have an apple pulled pork with garlic mint risotto. We just have some pork steaks that we seasoned with Adam's seasoning mix. Again, just use whatever you like on pork. Then we just wrapped this all up in foil and cooked it at 275 degrees for 4 to 5 hours. For the risotto, we're heating up 5 cups of chicken broth, and we'll use 1.5 cups of arborio rice. So we're going to make a little mix of spices with 1 teaspoon each of seasoned salt, onion powder, black pepper, and a 1/2 teaspoon of salt. And in our pan, we have 1 tablespoon of minced garlic with 2 tablespoons of butter. We also added in 1 teaspoon of dried parsley, 1 tablespoon of fresh mint, and 1 teaspoon of dried basil. We added in a half cup of white wine. Then we'll toast up our rice in this mixture for a while before we start adding our warm broth. And now we're going to be adding our broth 1 ladleful at a time, letting the rice absorb it while we stir it. Then we'll repeat the process until all of the broth is gone. Right at the end, we added in another tablespoon of butter and 1/4 cup of Parmesan cheese. And when our pork was done, we just added in a little bit of applesauce. This was so delicious and tender, the risotto turned out perfect. And we just served this with a salad on the side. And last but not least is my favorite meal of the week, beans and rice with sausage and garlic cheddar biscuits. Here are all the ingredients we'll be using, and I'm going to have these measurements listed down below. And we're using this Longhorn Cheddar smoked sausage. We're just going to add that to our Dutch oven with all of our seasonings. Then we'll add in 1 cup of chicken broth, 1 can of Great Northern beans, 1 can of pinto beans, and we also added in 1 tablespoon of sugar. We added in 1 more cup of broth to compensate for the rice, and then we simmered this for a while until it was all heated through. Then, about 5 minutes before we wanted to eat, we added in 1 cup of instant rice. And with this, we made some garlic cheddar biscuits, and I'll leave that recipe down below. This dinner always turns out amazing no matter how we vary it. It's one of my all-time favorites. We just topped off our bowls with some shredded cheese and parsley, and it was so good. Thank you guys so much for watching this week's video. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to hit that like button. If you have any recipe ideas you'd like us to try, you can leave them down in the comments below, or you can email me at the address in the description box. If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss our What's for Dinner videos every Sunday, and we'll see you guys next time.